Hey guys, TrinityC here, coming at you with another video. The latest Pokemon spin-off, Pokopia, came out late last week on the Nintendo Switch 2, and while this is a Pokemon spin-off that seems to have a lot of hype surrounding it, it's not something that's necessarily my cup of tea, so I haven't picked it up. But the thing that's curious to me that I made a video on a few months back is what exactly are these brand new Pokemon forms that have been introduced in Pokopia. I'm referring to Pikachu and Moslax respectively, as I thought these might be convergent species that are going to appear in Generation 10. And also as well, we have Professor Tangrowth and Smearguru being introduced in this game as well. But it turns out now that the game is out, there's actually 7 brand new Pokemon forms in this game. So I wanted to take a look at these forms with you guys here today and just discuss what exactly are these. Are these regional forms that are going to appear in another game, convergent species, brand new Pokemon in of themselves? Like, what exactly is going on here? So first and foremost, I figured we could start out with Pikachu, or Pikachu as he was introduced in the trailer. These are images that I found online of their Pokedex entries. It says for Pikachu, you can read it in full, but essentially when its friends were sick, Pikachu repeatedly shared its own electricity with them, and as a result, its physical structure has changed, and now it's unable to generate electricity, which is why it has this off-white aesthetic. But the thing that's kind of curious to me is it's still a pure electric type, despite the fact it can no longer generate electricity. So why is this still an electric type? When we first saw Pikachu revealed to us in the trailer a while back, I think everyone was presuming this was a ghost type variant or convergent species of Pikachu, but apparently it's a Pikachu that just used up all of its electricity, but it's still an electric type. Like, why isn't this a normal type then? That just doesn't make much sense to me. I will get into what I think all of these are later on in the video, as I want to just get through each of these Pokemon in and of themselves first. We have here Snorlax, or as we knew in the trailer, Moslax, and it basically said that this Pokemon is trying to sleep off its bad mood after it lost a fight, and it slept so long that dirt piled up around it and basically got moss on it, which is why it's Moslax. It's a normal type Snorlax variant that apparently just had a bunch of grass grow on it and mud grow on it, and this is the mossy form for Snorlax, as we can see on this Pokedex entry. I forgot to say that for the Pikachu variant before, it said it's the pale variant. So the thing that's confusing to me about this is, again, why is Moslax, or this mossy Snorlax variant, still a normal type? Shouldn't it be a grass type or a normal grass type or something of the sort? Like, why is this still a normal type? Which at this point, I'm thinking, okay, these are probably nothing and just Pokemon that were introduced for this spin-off in Pokopia, but they really seem like they might be more than that. They really seem to me like these were new convergent species for these Pokemon, but that clearly isn't the case here because they retain the original typing. So are these just regional variants then? We'll get to that in a little bit later. We then have Smeargle, or Smearguru, that was revealed to us, and it's basically saying here this Pokemon secretes multicolored bodily fluids from the tip of its tail, and it uses it to paint, and it wants to paint its home landscape one day, and it's the decorator version of Smeargle, and it sticks to being a pure or normal type. This description to me really screams regional variants. So again, I'm kind of confused as to what these are, and I'm just thinking that there is a multitude of things going on here, and if I had to guess, the Smeargle, Pikachu, and Snorlax are regional variants because they just scream that to me. But again, we'll get into that in a little bit more detail later. Then we have Rotom, which Rotom's obviously a Pokemon that has a multitude of forms already, which with different typings. This Rotom apparently entered a mini stereo system and was deeply moved by the synth pop CD someone left inside. So now this is Stereo Rotom, and it's an electric normal type, which it has a brand new typing, which would be really odd for this to be introduced in a spin-off game with a brand new typing to then never be seen in an actual main series Pokemon game, which is making me think that, hey, maybe these are more than just random characters created for a new game. We then have Tinkaton, the supervisor variant of it, saying that apparently this Tinkaton is particularly skilled with its hands, allowing it to make use of other tools in addition to the hammer. And you can see here that it's basically another Tinkaton, but instead of having just a hammer, it's kind of like a Swiss Army knife with a wrench and whatever that other thing is there. It says it's very curious about buildings and machines made by humans. It retains the fairy steel type, so this kind of to me seems like a regional variant of Tinkaton. Then we have Greedent, who is a normal type with the Cook variant. It's basically grew up with a family of foodies, making it learn to love cooking, and it pretty much is just a variant of Greedent. As we know, Greedent's a Pokemon that loves food, and this one just knows how to cook. This one I can't really see being an actual Pokemon in an actual main series game, but if the others are, then wouldn't this be too? Then the 7th and final new form we have in this game is Professor Tangrowth. It's the Professor variant of Tangrowth, and it says when this Pokemon was still a Tangela, it lived with a human professor. It now wears that professor's favorite pair of glasses on its chest, and obviously it also has the TM on its hair as well. And this is a pure grass type like regular Tangrowth. So overall, I'm very confused by Pokopia personally. I haven't played the game, so I can't speak to the role of these Pokemon in said game, but it really seems like to me that the Pale Pikachu, the Mossy Snorlax, and the Decorator Smeargle, along with the Supervisor Tinkaton, are all regional variants for these Pokemon that could potentially be introduced in a future Pokemon game. And then for the Rotom, the Stereo Rotom, this just seems like yet another Rotom form like we have with the other Rotom forms that we got in Generation 4. This one just happens to be an electric normal type, adding to the variety of Rotom forms. And then Greedent and Professor Tangrowth just to me seem like these would be just, random characters introduced for this Pokemon spinoff. Like, I really can't picture these being in a main series game. But that begs the question, if the other Pokemon are, like I'm speculating, regional variants in the Pikachu, Snorlax, Smeargle, and Tinkaton, and then the Rotom is just a new form for Rotom like we have with the other Rotoms that we got back in Gen 4 and Platinum, then wouldn't that mean that this Greedent and Tangrowth are also regional forms or new forms for these Pokemon? I'm just really confused as to what exactly these Pokemon are within Pokopia. Are we going to see the 7 of these introduced in Pokemon Winds and Waves? Are we just going to see a handful of them introduced in Winds and Waves? Because like I said before, it just really screams to me that Snorlax and Pikachu in particular, they just feel like regional variants. Like these Pokedex entries that they came up with for all these Pokemon sound like the Pokedex entries for regional variants that we've gotten in past Pokemon games. So is that what's going to happen with these Pokemon in Winds and Waves? Are they going to get introduced as regional variants for whatever region we're exploring in Generation 10? If that's the case, it's just really confusing to me that some of these just feel like just random spin-off characters, and then others feel like actual new Pokemon. The other possibility as well for some of these Pokemon is that maybe the Pale Pikachu, the Mossy Snorlax, the Decorator Smeargle, or the Supervisor Tinkaton, or even the Cook Greedent or the Professor Tangrowth, are these kind of like Blood Moon Ursaluna type Pokemon? If you guys don't know what I'm referring to, Blood Moon Ursaluna was an Ursaluna variant that was introduced in the DLC for Scarlet and Violet. Obviously, Ursaluna is a Pokemon that was introduced to us in Legends Arceus, and this Blood Moon Ursaluna is the Blood Moon variant of Ursaluna that is a single stage Pokemon that cannot evolve. So is Professor Tangrowth going to be that? Is Cook Greedent going to be the same thing along with Supervisor Tinkaton, Decorator Smeargle, Mossy Snorlax, and Pale Pikachu? Is that what we're looking at here? And if that's the case, are these single stage Pokemon? Or if these are indeed regional variants, does that then mean that there's a Pale Pikachu evolution that's not Raichu? Does that then mean that maybe Mossy Snorlax evolves into a brand new Pokemon? Or Decorator Smeargle is no longer a single stage Pokemon? And the same can be said for all of the others as well. Does this change the evolutionary line for these Mons? Just overall, I am so confused as to what these are. Like, part of me feels like, yes, these are brand new variants of these Pokemon, whether it be regional variants, convergent species. I would lean towards regional variants, given that the Pokedex entries for these within Pokopia say that this is a Pikachu, just the pale form, a Snorlax, the mossy form. It makes it seem like that, yeah, these are just regular Pokemon, just regional variants of them, or maybe even Blood Moon Ursaluna type variants of them. But then at the same time, I see something like Professor Tangrowth or the Cook Greedent, and I'm like, there's no way they would actually put these in a real Pokemon game, right? Like a mainline game, because essentially what these are just a Greedent wearing a pot on its head with the scarf around its neck and a Yeetle just on the back of its tail, and then a Tangrowth that's coloring's a bit different, wearing glasses and a TM on its head. Like, that doesn't feel like a regional variant or anything to me. These just feel like spin-off characters. But then on the flip side, when you go to something like the Supervisor Tinkaton or the Decorator Smeargle, like, these feel like these could be regional variants for these Pokemon. So I am very torn as to what these actually are. And the thing is with the Stereo Rotom, like, this is very clearly just another Rotom form like we've seen before. So it'd be very odd for them to be introducing a brand new typing for Rotom in this electric normal type, to then then not have it appear in a mainline game. So I am just kind of at a loss because I feel like, to me, we're looking at three different things here. We're looking at two random characters introduced exclusively for Pokopia and Professor Tangrowth and Cook Greedent. We're looking at a brand new form in Stereo Rotom for Rotom that could appear in Generation 10 Winds and Waves. And then we're looking at four potential regional variants or Blood Moon Ursaluna like Pokemon in Supervisor Tinkaton, Pale Pikachu, Mossy Snorlax, and Decorator Smeargle. If these are indeed new Pokemon or regional variants or just new forms for these Pokemon that are going to get introduced in Winds and Waves, I presume we'd probably see them in the next trailer or the next couple of trailers. If we don't hear anything about these, I would say by like the 5th or 4th trailer for Winds and Waves, then yeah, these are probably just one-offs that were made for Pokopia, but that would feel rather odd in the case of some of them, like the new Pikachu, Snorlax, and Smeargle that I mentioned before, but then others like Tangrowth and Greedent just don't feel like anything more than spin-off side characters like we had Shadow Lugia or Shadow Mewtwo back in the day, or even how we had Primal Dialga in Mystery Dungeon back in the day as well. Like, they've done this before where we've gotten exclusive forms for Pokemon within Pokemon spin-offs, but we've never had this many. And also as well, it just feels like some of these fit the vibes of regional variants. Like Tinkaton, Smeargle, Pikachu, and Snorlax just feel like regional variants. And then Stereo Rotom is straight up another Rotom, but then Professor Tangrowth and Cook Greedent just feel like a Shadow Lugia Primal Dialga type situation. So again, I'm very confused as to what these are, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on going into the future reveals of Winds and Waves, the future trailers that we get, because these might be brand new Pokemon in Generation 10, or they might just be random characters for Pokopia. Only time will tell. Anyways, let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about all this. What do you guys think these 7 new Pokemon that were introduced in Pokopia are? Are they just random characters added to a Pokemon spin-off game just for fun? Are they brand new forms of these Pokemon that will be introduced in a future game, whether they be regional variants, whether they be convergent species, just a Blood Moon Ursaluna type situation, or new forms in general? Or are these a mix of things? Like I said, maybe some new forms for the Stereo Rotom, or maybe just nothing in the case of Professor Tangrowth and Cook Greedent. Let me know down below what you think these are. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to see more content like this from Trainer DC. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.